Morning folks, I'm back at Staveley to see what's happening with the Chesterfield Canal restoration. And this just in front of me there, this is what will be the new Keith Ailey lock, just taking shape. This is moving so fast, you don't come down for a few weeks. And it's just astounding the amount of progress that's been made. Just a reminder on why this is happening, because I appreciate that not everyone is aware of the backstory. And this is a 46-mile long Chesterfield Canal, but there's a 9-mile gap that's in the process of being restored bit by bit. After closure, the canal through here was lost, and they're having to rebuild it pretty much from scratch. This new lock is raising the canal back up to its correct level to continue its journey eastwards. There was never originally a lock here, but various factors, including having to pass under railways, meant that the already rebuilt canal was lower than its predecessor. So when completed, this will be the UK's newest new canal lock. This new Trans Pennine Trail bridge that was put in last year, it's a great little spectator platform, isn't it, for the works going on here. There's always somebody stood on here. It's like a viewing gallery. Still very wet on this side, look. We've had a hell of a lot of rain recently. So it looks like what they're doing today when I've come, they've got this big crane here, they're removing the supports, you know, the stuff that they've poured the concrete into. I don't know the technical term for those panels. So what they've installed to then pour the concrete in, allow the concrete on those lock sidewalls to set. Doing a terrible job with the jargon and explaining that, aren't I, there? I am aware, it has been pointed out to me. I come here, do these updates, I film all from the same spots, the same angles, etc. So I have got a little bit of a bonus, I've got a little something extra on the end of this video, so stick around. Okay, so they're excavating down there, look now. Are they actually digging out the channel of the canal here now then? Interesting, I'll have to keep an eye on what that is there. So Bellhouse Basin, let's just catch up with what's going on down here. We've still got Severn Trent water, they're still working on replacing the mains, that water main down here, relocating it, lowering it, however you want to call it, but they're still cracking on with the work. O'Brien still cracking on with the Bellhouse Basin work. Is it still accessible down here? I just had to clamber around the side of the Severn Trent trucks. Christ, not many people are walking down there, are they? That's disgusting. I think we'll leave that till spring before we start venturing down that way. If you remember in the last video just before Christmas, we'd seen the concrete being poured for the foundations of the basin. But there you can see, look, just through the gap there, look, we can see the stonework from the Bellhouse Basin narrows. Wow. That's cracking on as well, isn't it? So obviously that was the stonework, that was the masonry that was salvaged. We've got some stone masonry specialists, an organisation called Tudor Stone, and they're helping to rebuild the narrows. Fetch you down to the bottom just to have a look from this side at the lock. So what you're looking at there, the concrete that's been poured into there, that's for the lock reinforcement walls. So all this hole that you can see, that'll be filled in around that eventually, and then I'm assuming it's going to be then bricked up from the inside. So it's just basically the shell of your lock, isn't it? I understand that we'll start to see the hole around the new lock walls being filled in possibly this week or maybe next week. It looks as though they've still got to remove some of that formwork from around the new concrete. By the time this video goes out, that may well have already happened. And thanks to everyone who keeps me updated in between videos. And Mick Warner sent me a few photos over the course of the last few weeks as the concrete pour has been happening. So cheers, Mick. To be honest, the only reason I've not been down to do an update so far this year has been the weather. Whenever I have a free day off work, it seems to be really heavy rain or strong wind. It's not ideal today as it's a bit dark, but at least I can get a few good drone shots. We'll leave behind the site of the new lock building, because I said that there was something else I'm going to show you. I'm going to start on these videos just including a little bit of a bonus, a little bit of footage on the end. I'm going to show you something of interest from on the Chesterfield Canal around the area. And we're just heading west a short distance to show you what I want to show you today. But before we do, last video I did, rewatering Regeneration, thanks to everyone who watched that and commented on that. I have got a little correction to make from that video though, and that's that weir, the spill weir that I covered. This one, I'll put it on the screen now, from near Regeneration. A number of people did correct me on this in the comments anyway, but I've completely misunderstood the situation there. Now that bit, you are correct, and I did say it was a spill weir. Now I incorrectly got it in my mind that they were going to be using that as a method. They were going to be reversing that basically as a method to bring water up from the Rother, because along that section, and I don't think it's yet been decided exactly where it's going on that section, but around there they are going to be pumping water up from the river Rother. That's how that section is going to be getting its water before all this is connected up. So I'm assuming at some stage I put two and two together and just jumped to the wrong conclusion completely, so apologies for that. That is just a spillway, nothing more. I'm not aware of any plans to have that as anything else. But here we go, I'm only human, but just to correct the facts that I said on that video there. And as we're walking through the Staveley waterside, or the moorings, I think as it's officially going to be known as, that has been in the news again this week. A lot of people, and I get asked so much when I'm out and about, do I know what's going on with this? And I really don't. The Chesterfield Borough Council has secured £2 million worth of new funding to get the stalled regeneration projects at Staveley back on track, including this development, the moorings. And don't forget, this is planned to be a mixed-use development built and operated by Derbyshire County Council. It was completed in 2025, but had to be scaled back due to the rising construction costs. I understand the new funding will include new pontoons in front of the building, which were in the original plans. All I do know is that spring is fast approaching, and before we know, it's going to be summer. And it'll just be a massive travesty if this is just going to sit empty for another summer season. But just to reiterate with this isn't the Chesterfield Canal Trust doing this project. It's not related to the Chesterfield Canal Trust and the restoration of the canal as such. This is something extra. This was all part of the Staveley town deal still, but it wasn't managed by the Chesterfield Canal Trust. I'm sure the majority of you have guessed where I'm heading to, just to show you this at the end of the video. And if I swing you around here, it's just coming into distance, just over my shoulder here, and that's the Mill Green Bridge. Just before we do get to the bridge, just to mention, you've got to realise around here, this whole area is vastly different to what it was even a generation ago. You know, even I'm talking this century, all this area, the industry that was around here that's been lost. You walk on this section of canal between here and Hollingwood Hub these days, and it's a very, very rural feeling walk. You've not really got anything on either side of you, but the setting along that section of the canal, when the canal was in use, would have been very, very different. Lots of noise, lots of industry, lots of going on, hustle and bustle. Even two pubs along that section between Mill Green Bridge and Hollingwood Hub. Can you imagine that? And you only have to look on old maps, and we've got some fantastic captures on Britain from above on the website there. If you've got time to have a sniff around that website, go and check it out. They just show you everything that was around here. And here it is, bridge number 10, Mill Green Bridge. Now I believe this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my understanding, this is one of the original bridges right from the inception of the Chesterfield Canal, going back to the 1770s. And look, and you can see it's had some strengthening work. It's got some iron girders put on there these days, look. It's got some wooden plankings. Very low bridge. Thought it had a date stone on this. It doesn't, does it? Just the other side of the canal from where I'm stood, you'll see, we can see on the photographs, we had a gasworks over there. And panning you back round to the bridge, just the other side of the bridge there, we can see a row of houses. And we do have some old photographs, and look, this old view here, it's barely recognisable. It's obviously before Morrison's. You can see the church in the background. And there's the top of the bridge. And just behind me, over here, if I show you around this way, now this you can't get down here these days. This bridge, I think this is still the case. I think it's all closed off down here. But we can see on the old maps, we've got annotated as a flour mill, the later maps, it was a corn mill. And we can see that the Goyt's visible on the old maps. And the River Rother, which is just running down here, you might be able to hear it in the distance. That had a very different alignment to what it does today. It's been changed at some point in the past. So on the maps, this is where we had one of those mills here. So there's the old bridge. There was a footpath over there. That went, you could walk across to Barrow Hill. But that's, the bridge is fenced off, and yeah, there's some steel fencing at the other side as well, just in case you are brave enough to make it over the bridge. But this has always interested me, and I've never really looked into this little bit before, look, but you can see where at some point the water's been diverted. Let's get over here. And we've got evidence up here, look, of, you know, mechanisms for valves, I'm guessing. And this is a river. So as I say, you just have a look at the old maps, you can see where it's been different here. You can see that where the Goyt was. It is prone to flooding this. There's evidence that the river has been over here recently by the looks of things. Lots of trees being fetched down here. Yeah, look down there. There's lots of debris being collected up by the river and just deposited on the riverbanks. That bridge is still standing, but there is one just upstream that's not in such a lucky state, and that collapsed a few years ago. Well, I wonder why they've stopped you going over there. I don't know. I don't know what the access situation's like over there. So that's Mill Green, and that's the update as of January from the Chesterfield Canal restoration down at Staveley. So cheers for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!